Pandora's box is about to open wide.
Be quiet and drive far away, baby. You listen to Pandora's Box yet again, ladies and gentlemen. It's 9 p.m. on Monday, or at least it is when this is coming out on the radio. But to those listening in Spotify land or YouTube, it's just whenever you want. Yeah, it's whenever you want. The world is your oyster. To kick off the show, we've actually got Drew's little baby, Angus. He's for those that can see. Obviously, this goes out as a radio show first and foremost, but we do put out a video as well on Spotify and YouTube. So if you're watching, you'll be able to see Drew's little baby Angus.
You might be able to hear some
If you can hear some Mongolian throat singing. Funnily enough, I went to the Brixton O2 to watch Ivor and Highland the other day. And there was quite a lot of throat singing going on there, so that's a bit of like a throwback.
Yeah, more natural.
Yeah, but like some of it was like probably like, which was a bit like what Angus sounded like then.
Yeah. He loves it.
Look at him.
He's real happy about the microphone. No, you can't eat it, mate.
He's like, is this something I can eat?
A born natural, man. He's ready for the mic.
So Angus, what do you think about the world? What floats your boat? Sounds like definitely the sort of noise that his dad makes. Funnily enough, your dad made that noise when he made you.
Can you say hello, Ruben? Say hello. Say dada. No, he still hasn't said dada or mama or anything like that yet.
Yeah, how old is he now though? He's still pretty young, isn't he?
Yeah, 8 months now.
Man, that's older than I thought actually. Time flies.
8 months. It's gone fast, hasn't it, man? I can't believe how quickly. Can you say something, mate? Can you make a noise?
Do you like milkies?
Milkies. Oh, he's like, is this
milkies? He's like, if only this was a nip.
Yeah, I think you might need to get him banned because he's not really making any. He's just breathing.
He's not contributing to the conversation as much as I was hoping. We'll invite him back.
Something to say, all right, mate?
Yeah, in a couple months' time, we'll try again. In a couple months. Yeah. But yeah, welcome to Pandora's Box, everyone. Thanks for indulging us while we basically spoke to a baby for a couple of minutes. Yeah, but so there you go. There he is. There's Angus.
You always need different opinions, different perspectives on the show.
Yeah, and he added some valuable to that there.
Talking of, Rupert got laid yesterday.
What? Rupert got laid?
Yeah.
Your dog had a bit of hanky-panky. So just to clarify people, we're talking about Drew's dog now, not his baby. Just before anyone calls social services.
Rupert's the dog, Ruben's the baby, or Ruben/Angus.
Yeah, Ruben/Angus. Depends on how much of the Highland blood he's feeling at that moment in time. So tell me about Rupert's sexual encounter, man.
Yeah, so I was taking Rupert up on the Whitcliffe, like I do every morning, about a couple of months ago, and this lady stopped me and was like, "Your dog's so handsome. Look at how handsome he is. Would you ever?"
I thought you were going to say had sex with a dog, but is it a woman?
No,
is it a woman you had sex with?
No, basically she had a spaniel as well. This like real nice like white and brown spaniel, and she's like, "I've always thought about getting pups from her, but would you ever think of studding your dog out?" And I was like, yeah, he's still intact.
I love how it's called studding your dog out.
Yeah, stud it out.
Let the dogs out.
That's literally what it's like. And then I didn't hear for a while, for a couple months, and I thought, she probably just didn't want to or something. And then I just got a text would you? So we went and met with her and stuff, just to suss it out a little bit more, rather than just letting him go full ham straight away. And Meg met her, and we had a coffee and stuff. And then we just took Rupert over to their house and thought, I don't even know if he's going to be interested or if he'll know what he's doing and stuff. And he was like,
no, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah,
no, I'm not.
And he was basically chasing around for ages.
He turned that lipstick.
Yeah, and literally he was chasing her around in that. But this dog was like pretty scared. It was like
taking a dark turn.
She was just a bit like, what the hell's going on, and kept like running over to the owner and that. So we were thinking, oh, Rupert knows what he's doing, but she's like being a bit like, don't know what's going on. So the first night like didn't really work. We were there for a couple hours, and they were well interested, but nothing happened.
Mate, this is such a funny arrangement.
And then the second day, I was like, I just rang her up and was like, should we just like take Rupert to yours, because he seemed really happy there, and just leave him there for a few hours and like give him a bit of space, and they might just like without us all there being like kind of right next to him.
Maybe she felt like performance pressure.
Yeah, that's it. And then so I left Rupert there, and then literally an hour later, she just sent us these videos of like Rupert like humping a dog.
Oh my lord!
and then
I thought you were going to say she sent you a message saying they're like all done, but no, she just sent you a message. I'm like,
she did say, she was like, oh, they've just done it, and then it was this funny video like that, and then the next video he'd like pulled her into a bush, and he was just in the bush with her dog, and this dog was like, he's just, and apparently. Yeah, they did it like twice, and the second time they can lock together and stay like locked together for ages, like, and get stuck,
Locked
which
in.
is a bit crazy. You can get like stuck for a couple
stuck?
hours and that. Yeah, like,
why is that then?
Which
How
is
do they get
really
stuck?
weird. I don't know,
know?
like. I think it's some. I don't even know.
But
it's something. That
I want to hear
happens.
your theory, Drew. I want to hear your theory.
I think it's because their actual. I know it sounds horrible. X-rated listeners, but their actual appendage like fully comes out. Like ours comes out a little bit, like the foreskin, but theirs like the whole muscle fully comes out. It's really weird, and it's and their balls can even come out as well, or like a part of their ball. It's like really weird.
The balls go up into the dog's
something like that.
vaginal canal.
Dogs have got like two sets. They've got like the hanging set at the back, and then they've got this like almost like these glands that swell up like hard balls as well. And
but
I
they're
think
not
that
actually
comes
balls,
out.
or
I don't think so. I think they're glands.
Yeah,
but they
surely
look like another set of balls. It's like really weird. But
we'll take
so
two.
I think all of that can come out of the skin basically, and they can kind of get stuck in there and something, or I don't know. It's weird.
So the answer
here.
Dogs get stuck together during mating due to a natural phenomenon called the copulatory tie or breeding tie.
Copulation, sex.
They do
this
say tie,
this occurs after the male dog ejaculates, and the swelling of the bulbus glandis, bulbous part of the male's penis, becomes causes it to become locked with the female's vulva.
Oh, so basically it's almost like because it's so swollen it can't get back out. Like it swells up inside. It's like like an old-fashioned key, like not like a one that goes into like a like an old-fashioned one. It'd be like if you turned it and then tried to pull it out. Well, it wouldn't happen, would it? Do you know what I mean? You'd have to undo it again. So I'm trying to. That's my analogy.
But it's interesting that it's after the dog's ejaculated as well. So it's like almost like just making sure the job's done. Like it's going to hold it in there,
staying in for a bit. It's like when people are trying really hard for a baby.
Yeah,
they'll sometimes
lie there for a bit.
Stay in for a bit.
Yeah. But they were doing that. They did that for about 20 minutes as well on the second time round. So I hope there's going to be
making
some
sure
pups.
those swimmers get in there. Is it just for her? Are you doing it just for her, or did she say like, are you involved in a business deal?
So basically, you either get the choice of a pup to keep, or the cost of one pup. If you know what I mean, so you'd get the money of like one pup.
Okay.
And I thought that was fair. So we're probably going to take the money because we haven't got space for another dog here, and that if we were in a bigger place, it'd be. And I just like the idea of like Rupert's line living on. Do you know what I mean? Like because he's like, I always it's like almost a shame that thing of just like it stopping there after all these thousands of years getting to this point.
Do you think you're going to neuter him now, or are you going to save him and then just maybe breed him again in future?
I like the idea of like breeding him again, because I don't either way. I don't want to get him neutered anyway because I just don't want to mess with his like physiology like for no reason. You know what I mean?
You're like his pimp, man.
Yeah, you're
man.
Pimp. Pimping
it
him
could
out.
be a good side hustle, man. If
you need to get like a,
we get money.
You need to get a little pimp stick, man. And start walking with a pimp.
Start with like a little purple suit in the next pod.
Yeah.
Oh mate, I need some kind of pimp stick just to whack his ass when he's been naughty.
Yeah,
So
get
it
like a
could be,
big,
double.
like a big, freaking fluffy coat, you know, like a big white fluffy coat with like a purple suit underneath. And
But
like
he's a handsome chap. I might just put it up on Ludlow News and be like, anyone want to?
Does anyone want to fornicate with my dog? Yeah. Come fornicate with my dog. Bring me Drew
now?
on 07 whatever. It's like those old school, you know, like back before the internet in the 90s, and in all the magazines and the papers.
Oh,
just
like
have
dating
random,
things.
ads. But you could just send in like an ad to thing, and then it'd back be like, "Hi, my name's John. I'm looking for a woman mid-30s, slim build, dark hair. Like preferably works neat and tidy. Cool John on but whatever.
Yeah.
01278 whatever. And it's like that's what you're gonna do, Drew. But with
Yeah. I just need to do it with a nice black and white picture of Rupert's fluffy head.
Yeah. Think if you weren't with Meg, you could put an ad for you and him.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, similar hair.
Either or both.
Looking for a two-man.
The next one I wanted to do is a golden retriever, like say make a what is it? What do they call them?
Spalding.
Yeah, they call them a
Spalding Retrieval.
Yeah, I think it is Spalding. I think it is Spalding.
Actually, I'm just talking rubbish, mate. I'm talking rubbish. But
yeah,
maybe,
but a mixture of like spaniel and retriever.
I like retrievers, mate.
Yeah, I like golden retrievers.
They're one of my favourite dog breeds.
Yeah.
If I was going to have like a dog, I might get like a black retriever, you know? It's a cool dog, isn't it? Cool, but lovely.
Yeah, that's
what
Sav's.
I look for.
I love Sav's retriever. He's a good lad.
Retriever.
Yeah, she's got a lush retriever called Odin.
Ah, that's a good name. Good name. Is he a golden retriever? Or?
Yeah. Yeah, golden retriever. But I've saw some crosses with spaniels and retrievers, and they come out black quite a lot of time, like real fluffy and black.
Do they?
Yeah.
Interesting they come out so fluffy, isn't it? Because neither breed are that fluffy, really.
Golden retrievers can be quite fluffy sometimes, or like
long haired.
Yeah,
but I didn't really think of them as like fluffy.
Yeah,
Makes me think of like a fluffy cat. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean like long haired more than fluffy.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Like golden retrievers. Yeah, sometimes have like quite long hair. Like quite like wavy. Like they're like the the boy band Hanson. A bit like that. But like if they were a dog. Yeah.
I wouldn't like a little dog.
No, neither would I.
I want like a wolf or something pretty big.
Yeah, I'd want like either like a black retriever or a golden retriever, or maybe like an Alsatian or like a Malamute or a husky.
Huskies.
Like that,
they're cool.
Something like that. You know.
I saw a real weird dog the other day, and it was a Irish water
wolfhound,
Irish water spaniel, and they're quite rare apparently, and they've got like
fins,
proper webbed feet. And they've got like they're proper fluffy. They're like a spaniel, but like real tight curls on their like tight curly hair. Even on their like face, they've got curly bits coming down and that. And then and the tail is really weird. It's got no fluff on it at all. So they're like a proper fluffy dog with this weird like just like almost looks like a rat's tail or something. It's like really strange.
Mate, that sounds like a weird.
It was weird. Like when I saw it, I was like,
strange.
What's going on here?
I quite like that my dog's just like a mongrel.
You know,
just like
they're healthy. The mongrels
been
are.
Out and about. Yeah, I think they're meant to be more healthy, aren't they?
Yeah, good.
Less
good
incestuous.
Yeah.
Good mix of genes.
Yeah, I mean it makes sense, doesn't it? I mean it literally does make sense, doesn't it? Yeah, just like fresh DNA, fresh blood into the area.
Yeah,
there's
lots of dog breeds that are like that it's actually getting really bad, like the sausage dogs and stuff like that. Like they get loads of health problems because their backs just basically deformed.
Like
pugs.
Yeah.
Pugs are one of the worst, aren't they?
Yeah, they can really breathe.
Almost like sunk into their.
Oh, I know, they're like deformed. They're basically, that's what they are, aren't they? They're like hideously deformed. And apparently they almost like live their whole entire life in pain. Yeah, and they have like, they can barely breathe and they have like really bad heart problems and stuff. It's like awful, really.
And chihuahuas are like so tiny and their little tiny teeth. So they pretty much always have to get all their teeth like taken out.
Oh, mate, it's
like,
awful,
and stuff.
I think, to be honest, I think they should be bred out of extinction. Do you know what I mean? Like, just stop breeding them. That's probably better. Just stop breeding them, and then obviously, whenever the last ones just naturally pass away, just leave it.
Shows that we shouldn't really be allowed to play God, doesn't it? Because we've just created things that are constantly in pain and been like, oh, that's cute.
Can you imagine just living your life? Like, your whole entire life is just pain.
Yeah.
And you're just like this weird little creature that's almost like... It's almost like your whole entire part of your existence is just like you're a bit of a joke, but you're quite cute. So like certain people just are like, oh yeah.
You could almost imagine if it could speak its only words.
It's like they're not even dogs.
Yeah, they're not, are they?
Like some of these tiny ones and that are just like super fluffy, and they
weird little ratty
They don't really run around or anything. They're just like lap dogs, they call them, don't they? When you're just always
rat pigs. Little rat pigs, mate. Yeah, little grotesque rat pigs. Poor little buggers. I mean that with the utmost sympathy as well, you know.
If like wokeness took over, it would like in 100, say 200 years from now, or 1,000 years from now, like there was like woke colossal labs bringing back chihuahuas.
Right. Oh man, yeah. Nah, screw that. Yeah,
that's what would happen if that timeline goes down. Like
it'd be like pugs are just as much a wolf as a dire wolf. Yeah. And they'd be like, no, they're not. No, they're not.
I identify as a wolf, not a pug.
I identify as a dire wolf. And it's just a little pug. But like it's dyed its hair purple.
There's some like lipstick on.
Yeah. Mental. Do you guys know who John Stith Pemberton is?
I don't. No. That's a great name, man.
John Stith Pemberton, not Smith. Stith Pemberton. He was an American Confederate Army veteran and officer. He was a lieutenant, as they call it in America. So in the UK, obviously in the military, they call it lieutenant. But considering he's American, I'll call him his American name. He was a lieutenant colonel in the 3rd Cavalry Battalion of the Georgia State Guard in the Confederate Army of the United States. And obviously, you history buffs out there will know that obviously during the American Civil War, there was the Union Army and there was the Confederate Army. And the Confederate Army are the ones that ended up losing. A lot of the southern states were Confederates, or like majority of the southern states. And nowadays, the Confederate flag is considered somewhat controversial in America. A lot of people don't think it should be controversial. A lot of people think it should be very controversial. Dimebag Darrell used to
blue.
Yep. Yeah. Dimebag Darrell used to have a guitar, didn't he? Where it was a Confederate flag, and both Pantera and Lynyrd Skynyrd used to like proudly fly the Confederate flag because they were Southern bands, the Southern band, and they would say, it's not really about ideology or anything like that. It's just about like heritage, It's like it's about heritage. And all the stars on the Confederate flag are the states that fought in the Confederate Army. But anyway, he was the guy that made Coca-Cola. So John Stith Pemberton, although he was, in his lifetime, he was known mainly for being a lieutenant colonel in the Confederate Army of the United States. He was also the guy that invented the most famous beverage in the world.
Whoa.
Coca-Cola.
It had coca leaves in it.
Mate, it's a mental concoction, really. So he developed a morphine addiction as a result of wounds he had. So he sustained a very bad saber wound to his chest during the Battle of Columbus during the American Civil War. And he was prescribed morphine to deal with like the savage pain of this wound. And then he got addicted to morphine. And in 1866, he started seeking a cure for his addiction. And he was actually a very, very good chemist. That's what he sort of did before he joined the army and stuff like that. So he invented a drink, which he originally called, which is like, this is a hilarious name. It's like you can see why they changed it. It was originally called, his first recipe was called Dr. Tuggle's Compound Syrup of Globe Flour, right? And it was essentially, it was a mixture of wine, cocaine, and caffeine. So it was a mixture of... So that's a pretty brutal combination.
Sounds like
I'll get you going.
yeah, it's a brutal combination, isn't it? It's a brutal combination. I think by today's standards, it's like hilarious. But you got to remember, like even like Queen Victoria used to have every night after her dinner, she would have a glass of wine with a teaspoon of cocaine mixed into her wine. Yeah,
I heard some. What was the one that was addicted to like cane sugar stalks? And there was a queen that was like had
Queen
the most
Elizabeth
horrible teeth. Yeah, had horrible like dent teeth and that because she would just be always chewing on sugar cane.
She was the first, I think, British monarch. Her reigns were, I can't remember her exact reign. I haven't quite got the autistic power of my father. He would remember. He'd be
she was the one after Henry VIII, right?
Yes, Henry VIII's daughter. He had, and as so was Mary, Queen of Scots, who obviously she sort of went to war with. But Queen Elizabeth I, great monarch, by the way, one of Britain's best ever monarchs. A real great role model, I think, for like not just all British people, but especially for women, because she was one of Britain's best ever monarchs, obviously, and a female, which is really cool. But yeah, she was, I think, the first sort of monarch. I think she lived in. Her reign was during the 1500s, and she was the first monarch that the British trade networks were far enough that they could like regularly get sugar, like cane sugar, and also things like vanilla. Apparently, she became obsessed with the flavour vanilla, and she would get them to put like
Still expensive to this day.
I know, and she'd get the proper vanilla pods, obviously, and they didn't have obviously fake vanilla back in those days like we do now. But yeah, she would.
Man, vanilla's good stuff.
Yeah, but she'd get them to put like vanilla in everything apparently. So like every day she'd be eating like loads of vanilla and like loads of sugar. But apparently she had really bad teeth. Yeah, really bad teeth. There's obviously no pictures of her like with her mouth open because of that. But although saying that, I don't really think it's like they probably usually when doing monarchs are not like.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah.
Another one as well. Is it silk? Is from actual silkworm.
Yeah.
That was like a massive. I mean, I know silk's still
from
expensive
Asia.
now.
Yeah.
But I remember watching like a Marco Polo. I love that series Marco Polo. Like about.
I've never seen it, but I know you've spoken about it before. Yeah,
I reckon you would actually love it as well. Like his cinematography, like high quality of the recording and all that kind of stuff, and about a cool part of history. But yeah, they were talking about this the Silk Road and like the from China and the kind of trading and everything, and he was like giving an example of this like piece of silk and saying like people die for this and stuff, and it's you can get your hands chopped off if you mess with my silk,
Well, it's one of the things that the Romans used to most covet. And it's one of the main reasons that they like made the Silk Roads. And they used to go to Asia specifically just to get as much silk as possible because it is seen to this day as such a luxurious fabric, and it does seem very suave, doesn't it? So obviously it's so shiny and like smooth if you touch it and everything. But the Asians almost used to like prank the Romans as well, because the Romans would be like, where do you get this from? Like, where do you get this from? Because we want to know like how to get it. And they used to tell the Romans that it used to grow on trees. So the Romans, there's like Roman manuscripts from like Roman traders that went all the way to like China and stuff, and they're like, yes, and then we traded several bear and wolf furs for this thing silk to bring back to Rome to make garments for the most rich and wealthy in our society, blah blah blah. And we asked them, where do you get this from? And they told us it grows on great trees, far to the east in Asia and stuff. And it's like they obviously were like, yeah, let's just tell them it grows on trees, idiots. But obviously, like, yeah,
throw them off the scent of where they actually come from as well.
I guess because then it's like it was better for them, because then they thought, yeah, throwing them off the trail. And then they're more likely to just come back to them. Like they're like probably like we're on their way back to Rome. They're probably like looking around for all these trees and just couldn't find them. Like, where are these trees, man? Where are these trees?
That's quite good forethought, isn't it? To keep control of the trade of it.
It's. I mean, the thing it's literally called
monopoly.
The fact they're literally called the Silk Roads, because obviously there was lots of other things that they did used to trade, but it was just that was the main thing that used to entice the Romans, because they know that like whoever was emperor at the time would pay like a fortune for like some like purple silk. Like purple silk would have been like in Rome, because purple was considered like the most regal color. And to the point, did you know that only the emperor, I can't remember if it was only the emperor or only politicians, I think it was actually just only the emperor could wear purple. If you were like a normal person and you were caught wearing the color purple in public, I can't remember if you could be killed or if it was like something like your hands were cut off.
Sort of like treasonous.
But it was like it was brutal. Yeah. Would you mind looking at Bullwinkle? Type in like something like consequence for wearing purple in Rome. Because I know it was like brutal. If you weren't killed, I know it was like something brutal, like both your hands would be cut off, which seems quite extreme, really, doesn't it? Just for like wearing a color, But
it could range from death to exile.
Oh right, okay. So sometimes just basically like, right, go,
pretty hefty,
leave. But my home's it. No, go. Can I just get myself? No, go. That's pretty brutal, isn't it? I suppose it's like, go before we're gonna die. Okay, yeah, I'll go. Right, yeah, I'll go. Yeah, pretty brutal. Right, and the Romans were quite strict about certain stuff, weren't they? Pretty strict.
Do you know? Funnily enough, I actually watched a video not too long ago about the whole Coke thing and how it like became to be, and it was talking about the original concoction that it was made of. But a big part of their sort of growth was during the war, wasn't it? They wanted to be
the first or the Second World War.
I assume the first.
Right.
They wanted to be the only like beverage that was available to everyone.
Right.
So that's why we have Fanta now. It's because in Germany they set up Fanta, which obviously is owned by Coke.
Hitler.
They wanted a different one.
It was literally Hitler.
That was World War II, wasn't it?
Yeah. So Hitler loved Coca-Cola. And I'll take you through a little bit more of the history of Coke because it will sort of lead into it.
He was a tweaker anyway, wasn't he?
He was a right tweaker, mate. He was on loads of drugs, wasn't he? But yeah, so you know, so what was it? Yeah, 1866. He came up with his very first formula. This, John Stith Pemberton, and that was his Dr. Tuggle's compound syrup of globe flow. I don't know why I call it Dr. Tuggles.
I love that name.
Because his name wasn't Tuggle.
That's hilarious.
So you just think it was like a real funny name or something.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, and according to Coca-Cola historian Phil Mooney, Pemberton's now world-famous soda was created in Columbus, Georgia, and then carried to Atlanta, where it was then showed to the public for the first time. At the time, there was a lot of public concern in the United States about drug addiction, depression, and alcoholism among war veterans because a lot of them got hooked on morphine during the American Civil War. At the time as well, there was also like a weird thing that was just sort of invented called neurasthenia. And it was not prescribed. What's the word? It was diagnosed to a lot of people by doctors in the United States. Quite interestingly, it didn't seem to spread past the US. It seemed to be one of those things, and there's lots and lots of cases of this through pretty much every generation. We have stuff like this in the UK as well. There's certain things that are just given a name, right? And it almost seems to just be a generic term so that doctors can I guess, on paper, diagnose people with something. So this neurasthenia was considered a big problem in the US at the time. Especially, it was often diagnosed to highly strung women, and also very stressed men, and especially men that worked in desk jobs. Because in those days, to be honest, I probably actually do agree with this. I think I suffer from this even a bit myself. You'd almost go if you sat down at a desk too long, they would say that you would have things like nervous tension. Right. And that would cause you to go a bit because most people in those days still had more physical jobs, but desk jobs were obviously very much on the rise during this period. So you would be prescribed this to help deal with it. And just to, it's really weird that just to branch off from it. So this neurasthenia, it comes from the ancient Greek neuron, nerve, and asthenes, which means weak, so weak nerves. It's the idea that if you work a desk job, or if you're stressed, or if you're a highly strung woman, you end up getting weak nerves, and it causes you health issues. It was first used in sort of the 1800s. And became a major diagnosis in North America during the late 19th and early 20th centuries after George Miller Beard, Dr. Beard,
Mr. Beard.
reintroduced the concept in 1869. Yeah, it's weird. It's like a psychopathological term.
Right.
Yeah, and it's sort of it was a general thing that was diagnosed to anybody that had if you went to a doctor and you said and they said what are your symptoms, and they said fatigue, anything from fatigue, anxiety, headache, heart palpitations, high blood pressure, or depression, you'd often be diagnosed with this thing. We've got things like that as well, Emily's great aunt, so my wife's great aunt, who's in her late 70s. She's been saying for decades that she's got nervous tension because apparently back in the 60s or 70s or something, or might not have been as early as that, might be the 80s, she was diagnosed with it, and she still says she is to this day, but it's not really medically recognised nowadays. It's not really a thing. I don't think it's really anything, man.
Right.
I think it's just that basic. I think she was diagnosed it, and you can see why. I think she was very close with her mother, and when her mother passed away, she just really struggled. Right. She found that very hard to deal with that because apparently, her mum was sort of her best friend as well as her mum. So when she died, she had almost she just really struggled with it. I had a bit of a breakdown, to be honest, and the doctor diagnosed her with nervous tension, and it's she'd sort of she became a bit agoraphobic, afraid to leave the house. That's what agoraphobia is. She'd be afraid to leave the house. She'd get very nervous and anxious, but the thing is, it's not nervous tension. It's not really anything. It's a bit like this condition we're talking about here. It's just a way to describe a certain certain symptoms. But yeah, quite interesting. Anyway, so where were we anyway with this whole
Dr. Tuggle?
Dr. Tuggles, yeah. So he made this thing. It was a mixture of wine, caffeine, and cocaine. Super, super crazy. Then he started making it without the wine, I think because at the time, in America, wine was starting to be seen more as like, a taboo thing and stuff like that. So he decided to tweak his formula. And then apparently it was an accident that he made it carbonated. He blended the base syrup with carbonated water by accident when trying to make another glass of the beverage. And then Pemberton decided to start selling it as a fountain drink rather than a medicine. So he tweaked his marketing thing and started selling it as a fountain drink rather than a medicine.
Would this have been around the time of the Prohibition?
I think the Prohibition came a bit later.
Right.
Yeah, it came a bit later.
Right.
But Prohibition was after the American Civil War. Apparently it was a man called Frank Mason Robinson who actually came up with the name Coca-Cola. But it's interesting, isn't it? Because obviously Coca-Cola, like coca, it's from the cocoa leaves. So it's literally from the cocaine, which is funny, isn't it? Because it's still it's like the most famous beverage on the planet. And literally the coca in Coca-Cola, it comes from the cocaine, which is so funny, isn't it? Because obviously like cocaine in most countries is an illegal drug. But it's funny that like the most popular beverage literally has the name cocaine in it. Like, you know what I mean? And obviously Coca-Cola was just came up with from Frank Mason Robinson because he was just quite like a clever guy at coming up with like, like a catchy little term. So, and apparently it was really popular around medicines at the time to give it like a name, like a snappy name like that, like Coca-Cola. So obviously, he used that.
It's a good name. It's a great name.
Yeah. And they obviously then officially patented as well the Coca-Cola company. And it says, although the name refers to the two main ingredients, because of the controversy over its cocaine content, the Coca-Cola company later said that the name was meaningless but fanciful. And that's sort of like what they say nowadays if they're ever asked about the cocaine connection. And this guy, Frank Mason Robinson, who came up with the name, hand wrote the script on the bottles and ads at the time. Pemberton made many health claims for his product, touting it as a valuable brain tonic, which was sold at the time, that would cure headaches, relieve exhaustion, and calm nerves, and marketed it as a delicious, refreshing, pure joy, exhilarating, and invigorating drink. Soon after Coca-Cola hit the market... I wonder what it used
to taste like back then when it was like that. Had that in it as well.
I bet it tasted pretty nice. Imagine it's like nice, almost like carbonated, like caffeine-y, like syrupy. I bet it was pretty nice, man. What's quite sad is that soon after Coca-Cola hit the market, Pemberton fell ill and nearly became bankrupt, which is quite sad, isn't it? So the guy that actually made the formula, who came up with it himself to treat himself, and his in his morphine addiction and stuff like that, he fell ill and became nearly bankrupt. He was sick and desperate and began selling rights to his formula to his business partners in Atlanta, Georgia. His motivation to sell was that he still suffered from expensive continuing morphine addiction. That's what made him bankrupt, basically. Although he came up with this to try and cure his morphine addiction, he was drinking loads of this, like cocaine, wine, and caffeine mix.
Junkie,
but still
really?
He was.
I bet he was a tweaker.
Oh, he must have been.
Isn't
it mad to think, like, he's quite like a high functioning guy, though. You know what I mean? Like, seems, like quite like an innovative guy, and was like a chemist.
It is crazy when you see that. I watched this documentary about like a functioning. Sorry, I thought my phone's on silent, but it keeps bloody going off. Functioning like heroin addicts and stuff, and like and stuff. Or like, and there was this guy who was a NASA engineer, and he was a crack addict and stuff like that. And it's like, and it's crazy, and it's like, and he's just saying, it's like he's ruined loads of his life because he spent all of his money on that, but he's still just like a functioning like engineer and stuff. And it's like, it's mad how people can still hold it together sometimes.
Yeah, man. They say like there's a lot of people in like very, very high stress jobs. So like often like high level businessmen and women, and also things like surgeons, like brain surgeons and heart surgeons. Their jobs are so stressful. They're dealing with things like life and death. Having to like go to, their family one's out in the corridor waiting to see if like someone's brain surgery is a success, and then if it's not, you're gonna have to go to them and say like, I'm sorry, like your husband's dead or whatever, and they're like breaking down in tears. Those people get so stressed they just go home and like hit the bottle and just like chain smoke all night. So like, it's like a lot of like surgeons that even though they're like geniuses, literally, but they're like
got their vices.
complete alkies.
I guess all the cocaine and the caffeine probably kept him like wired 24/7. Like he's always like scrapping around trying to work on something.
I know that like they say, don't they, that like cocaine's almost like as a bit of a cure for alcohol. Like like I've seen. I know. I remember seeing like a musician once. An old friend of mine that was in this band, and the lead singer was like really really drunk, and he was like falling around the stage a little bit, and it was almost like he was like too drunk to play, and basically he went into like the bathroom and did some cocaine, and he just sorted him out. He just like did the set fine. It was almost like it counteracted the alcohol. It leveled him out. It was like really weird. It's almost like it's like it was like so different from the alcohol, which I guess like alcohol, although it doesn't necessarily always like seem like it's like a downer, isn't it?
Yeah,
it technically is like a sedative, whereas like cocaine's like an upper. So
I do find it mad with that, like say on like if people do like loads of it, you can actually drink more alcohol than you would like where you'd be absolutely on the floor like like really drunk, but you can still consume more alcohol, but because they're doing the cocaine as well, it's like they can just keeps you not being drunk. It like that thing of like what you're saying about it almost sobered him up to play the set. It almost you can drink more, but it doesn't affect you in the same way as it would if you were just drinking alcohol.
That's got to be so bad for you, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. Imagine what it's doing to your body still. It's crazy.
Imagine what it's doing to your heart.
Like it's almost like you're finding like a cheat code to then ingest more alcohol, whereas otherwise your body would be like so ill because it's like, man, we are done. We are done. But then it's like you're taking something else, which in itself is really bad for you. Really bad for your heart and everything like that, and just so really bad for like your brain chemicals and everything like that. So yeah, basically we don't do that, guys.
Imagine getting your hand on like an old school Coca-Cola recipe and just like redoing it like that.
I expect you could. I mean, at the very you could get like a syrup. Do you know what I mean? Get like some sort of like caramelly syrup,
a bag of Coke.
mix it with wine, and like just caffeine, and then just like see what happens. Yeah,
there is like little diners and stuff in America that make it the old-fashioned way, not the old-fashioned way.
Yeah, where they put the syrup in first and then like carbonated water.
Mix it up together, and
that's
quite cool.
Certain diners in America, isn't it? Yeah, they're like. And
my mum used to have a Soda Stream. I used to like that, where you could like put the syrup in.
My mum's got one too.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. Right? Yeah.
I don't know if this is part of like the history of Coke that you've got, but I can remember the fact which I was thinking of earlier, which was in the war, which was part of the reason they got such a big following. Is that they decided they needed to be there for all of like the soldiers and stuff, so they paid out of their own money to like send tons and tons of like Coke cans and bottles over to the war.
Yeah, that's right.
They all got addicted, didn't they?
Yeah.
All of the soldiers got addicted. So when they came back, they were like, "We need more of this."
Yep. It's mad, isn't it? It's crazy. So like to go on with a little story. So so Pemberton started dying, and he was bankrupt, so he started trying to sell his rights, but he did try and retain a share of ownership to leave his son, because apparently Pemberton, as he was dying, he said that he apparently has gone on record that he said for some reason he had the belief that someday Coca-Cola would be a nationwide drink. Which obviously he was completely true in that regard. It was completely true, so that's pretty cool. He attempted to retain a share of ownership to leave to his son. However, his son said instead he wanted the money. So in 1888, Pemberton and his son sold the remaining portion of the patent to a fellow Atlanta pharmacist called Asa Griggs Candler for $300. That was in those days.
Bad move.
Which nowadays would be the equivalent to about $9,372. So think, the Coca-Cola fortune was sold out of the family that made it, and literally within like one generation, for just $9,372 dollars. Sorry, yeah, that's crazy, isn't it? So obviously at this point, Coca-Cola still had cocaine leaves in its formula. They stopped officially using cocaine leaves in 1903. After 1904. They began using decocainized cocoa leaves, which is basically the equivalent of like decaf coffee.
Right.
It's a cocoa leaf extract without cocaine. And by 1929, Coca-Cola had completely transitioned to using a cocaine-free extract. But Hitler got a taste for it, I think, during the First World War, when it still had that that cocoa leaf flavor, and he became like addicted to it, and he absolutely loved it. But yeah, once he became like the ruler of Germany, and the Americans obviously weren't on the side of the Nazis. He knew that it would be really bad to be seen drinking Coca-Cola and to be buying it. And not just that, but I'm not even sure if you could buy it in Germany anymore at that stage. So he came up with, him and the other Nazis came up with Fanta. And then they started selling Fanta. So that's the origins of Fanta. Fanta was made by the Nazis because they couldn't drink Coca-Cola anymore, which is hilarious, isn't it?
That's crazy. I always thought it was almost like the reverse. Like, I always thought it was Coke that made Fanta for the Nazis. You know what I mean? But that's crazy that they're making it themselves.
The Nazis literally came up with Fanta because they couldn't drink Coca-Cola anymore, both probably because of how hard it would have been to get Coca-Cola into the country, and also because they couldn't really be seen drinking drinks of their enemies. But do you know what this makes me think of as well? And this is why I'm always quite, like, anti... like, you know, when there was, like, those, like, all the riots that happened... like several years back, and there were like people like pulling down statues, and they were saying
around COVID times,
like pulling down statues of people, say like in like all the big cities in England, and they were saying like, oh, it's because the people that the statues, they were like involved in the slave trade or something. But the reason there's a statue of the person there is because they like had like a massive they like built like loads of the city or something like that. The reason I'm not a fan of, say, like the whole like sort of trying to justify tearing down these statues and stuff under the guise of like, well, they were like racist or whatever, is because I think if you want to start going down that road, it'll open up such a can of worms, you'll end up not being able to do or have anything. Do you know what I mean? Like, all those people that say were pro pulling down those statues. So we've just ascertained that the guy that made Coca-Cola was a Confederate soldier. The Confederate soldiers, one of the reasons they went to war with the Union soldiers was basically because the Confederate soldiers were pro-slavery, right? So by that logic, you should never ever drink Coca-Cola again, right? And you should definitely also not ever drink Fanta, because that was literally being made by the Nazis. Do you know what I mean? So it's like it's like such a can of worms, and there's loads of things that I'm sure I'm not aware of. Do you know what I mean? Because I think it could almost just become endless. It could almost just become endless. Like, you know, they say like
something else.
Isn't it? It wasn't like, I think like Adidas as well. Like Adidas is a brand I think was like founded by the Nazis or something. Volkswagen, the car brand, I think was like started by the Germans in the Nazi era. You know, like Luftwaffe planes had like Mercedes and BMW engines, so they're literally used by the Nazis to like kill people. I mean, so it's like
I know there was like big football clubs like Bayern Munich at one point. Their crest was just the swastika,
exactly,
and stuff like that.
Do you know what I mean? So I think if you want to start going down this road, and it's like almost like under the pretense that it's like just, and we need to tear down statues and all the rest of it to like somehow be just. I just think, look, it was a different time. It's far in history, and we should be aware of all these things, and we should learn from them. But and I don't think anybody was even ever saying in the first place that necessarily any of these statues that were torn down, necessarily the guys themselves were great. But at the end of the day, if you go to a city, it's quite almost like natural to see a statue of somebody that was in some way had a major part, had something major to do with that city, whether they like built half the city, like you know, Brunel did, you know, because nowadays, you know, one of the people that has been like really controversial in Bristol since has been Brunel. You know, but yeah, you know, he had like masses to do with the development of Bristol, basically. Like, Bristol wouldn't be what it is today without him. What he did at the time, almost like judging him by the standards of today, I just think it's silly to do that. You know, I think, you know, like, because I don't know, like, how far do you want to go with it? You know, if somebody decided in 200 or 300 years' time that, say, your grandmother did something during her lifetime, but by the standards of the future was considered not acceptable, would you think it would be okay for them to go and like break her like tombstone? Do you know what I mean? Or like her headstone, and be like, well, she did something, and that's really badly socially acceptable today. It's like, well, it just seems almost like a bit like unnecessarily, just like vandalism, isn't it? Like, and like you can use whatever excuse you want for it, But I don't think that's the right way to go. And I do also think that in these circumstances, and I think a lot with like the statues and the cities and stuff, I do think that while yes, there are people that even if I think they're misguided in doing so, generally are say pulling down statues and that because they think it's what's right, and yeah, entitled to their opinion, but I just disagree. I also think they're also then going to get a lot of people joining in because just for the ability basically to just be
that mob mentality.
Yeah, just to vandalize stuff and get away with it. I mean, I've literally there's been like several riots, haven't there, all around the world, and I think a lot of the people that are there, maybe even 50%, maybe even more, I don't know, are just there to just join in, just like to snatch and grab, smash and grab, whether it's breaking shop windows, grabbing stuff. The ability to just like get involved with like arson and vandalism and just get away with it. Yeah. I remember a guy that I used to be friends with. I can't remember. It was around like 2008, maybe 2009. There were some riots in Bristol, some big riots in Bristol. I can't even remember what they were about now. Drew, can you, Drew? Oh, no worries. Yeah, that's all right. Drew's got some technical issues. He's going to join us back in a minute. But yeah, there were some big riots in Bristol around 2008, 2009. I can't remember what they were over now. Maybe you can find out for me in a minute, man. But yeah, literally a guy that I used to be friends with, and I don't really chat to him nowadays, and it's because it's for reasons like this, because basically we just, as we grew up and we started growing older, we just didn't see eye to eye on stuff, and I thought he was quite immature. But he was literally like, yeah, I'm going to go to Bristol tonight because I'm going to get involved with the riots. I'm going to try and like, and basically he was like saying that he wanted to like, try and get himself some like new Nike trainers and stuff, and he was going to see like what he could pinch from that. And I remember just thinking like, you freaking lowlife, man. Do you know what I mean? You're almost like preying on whatever cause these people are using to riot as an excuse to essentially just be a thief.
Yeah, there's people like that, and people that do that almost it takes away from the meaning of the riots themselves. Like people can be rioting or protesting for a really good cause, and then it just gets put in the mess of everyone actually trying to go there and rob stuff, and like you were saying, going to get new Nike trainers and stuff like that. I can't actually find out why those riots were, man.
No, but like I say, I'm pretty sure it was
some
around
sort of social unrest.
Yeah, it was some sort of like, I know that. Yeah, it was big riots, but there was literally like shop windows being smashed and stuff, and people.
Was it around the time of the London riots as well?
I mean, I imagine so. I think it was. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was around 2008, 2009. 2008 Bristol riots. Let me see if I can find anything myself.
There was more recent ones as well, weren't there? I remember.
Oh yeah, for sure. But it's just that was the one I can remember. Was it the Stokes Croft riots? Maybe. I don't know. People, if you know why the riots happened, then let us know. Write in, let us know, because I can't remember. What it was all about.
It definitely seemed like people were jumping on the bandwagon. I think you like saying as well.
Oh, 100%.
And it was a bit like, what's the point? Like a bit of an excuse.
Oh, was it something to do with democratic rights or something? Revolting riots in Queen's Square. The site of some of the bloodiest rioting he has ever seen, and enough civil unrest to put the government in fear of revolution took place in Bristol. Oh no, that's talking about 1831.
Yeah, that's the only ones that I could find, man.
Yeah. Oh, God knows. Yeah, God knows. But yeah, so basically, that's why I'm not really a fan of that whole sort of thing, because I said I think you just open a can of worms, and you'll end up literally not being able to wear anything, be able to eat or drink anything. Do you know what I mean? Because somebody somewhere was negatively affected or offended by something, and as a result, do you know what I mean? It's almost like it just becomes too much.
And I think if you don't learn from your history, that's when the danger arises, isn't it? You've got to learn and acknowledge history rather than just try and sweep it under the rug.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, man, 100%. I 100% agree with that. So yeah, that's my view. But yeah, crazy, innit? That I said Coca-Cola. What a crazy origin.
I found it mad that when I was in Peru, I could just get bags of coca leaves from the market, and it is because when they're in that form, it's really weird because you can like. With actual cocaine, it's got a distinct smell and like taste and stuff. And with the coca leaves, and when you're chewing on them, because they use them for altitude up there, because it's in such small quantities within each leaf, then you'd have to have like thousands of leaves for it to be the same as like the condensed what you get in an actual bit of cocaine,
like a powder.
Yeah, in the powder and stuff. Like there's a massive refining process that goes on to get the actual chemical out of the leaf and then into like a, you know, into the powder that we see. But but the leaf, you could actually taste it had a bit of that hint of like the finished product. Like there was like, you know, there's a distinctive taste to it, and it was and I was chewing them for ages because it's not anything to really make you completely out of it or anything, but it's
doesn't it just like essentially thin your blood a little bit, and that obviously stops your blood from coagulating as you get to high altitude.
It definitely has like a mental high as well. It has like it felt for me like coffee, like when you have like a really nice like strong coffee and you feel a bit like you feel a bit more aware and a bit more just like, you know, it was like that. I remember, and they also do this thing over there where they chew a little bit of, they mix like they chew the coca leaves, and then they also have like a little bit of like coal or like some kind of hard like coaly like substance, and you would like break a bit of that off and you would chew that. No, you'd put that in your gum, and then you would chew the coca leaves, and it did something like where it made them go into your bloodstream quicker. And it's just like, it's a method that they have over there, what they'd be doing. And I remember I was doing that as well, and I hadn't done that much, and I remember I was sitting on a bus like chatting to someone, chewing these coca leaves and having a bit of this tar in my mouth, and then all of a sudden it was like, whoa, I think I've done a bit too much, and I went all like, you know what I mean, and you start freaking out a little bit, and it's like that thing of like, oh, what have I done? You know?
That's hilarious, man.
So it can be a little bit stronger than coffee sometimes.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? It's funny, isn't it? That, like, obviously, like Coca-Cola to the CSA, like still like the most popular like beverage all over the world, but it's like nothing really like it used to be, is it? I wonder how similar the taste. Yeah,
that's what I was thinking. Like when I was saying earlier, like about imagine what it was like tasting that, and because they are stronger.
Do you reckon they've managed to retain the taste like stronger? Because it still has caffeine in it, doesn't it?
Yeah, and
didn't
like
essentially just extract. Like take out the cocoa and then or like take out the wine and replace it all with like tons of sugar. And that was how they like kept it addicting. Yeah,
I guess they definitely added sugar when they took the wine out. I guess, you know, obviously wine is like fermented grapes anyway, so it is naturally sweet as well. So I guess they partly did it to replace the sweetness they lost from the wine. But it was just like another ingredient, isn't it, to make you feel buzzed. That combination of like sugar and caffeine as well is quite a brutal one, isn't it? I feel like it's horrible when you crash from that though. You know, if you have like too much like sugar and caffeine and then you like just crash, and you almost feel a bit like just a bit weird. Yeah. It's not like very nice.
Just want to sleep.
Yeah, it's like when your brain just feels a bit like foggy and that. I'm not a fan of the feeling. Have either of you guys ever heard of Castorodes?
Nope.
No.
It was the largest beaver that ever lived. It was a beaver that was like basically my size.
What? Yeah. I thought you were going to say like the size of like a leg or something like that. No, man, that's insane.
This beaver was the size of me. It was a massive rodent, literally a massive beaver that lived in North America during the Pleistocene era. They were much bigger than modern beavers. They averaged 6'2", and weighed. Man, some of them would have been a lot big, like heavier than me. They weighed between 200 pounds and 276 pounds. Jesus. So that's basically like anywhere between. Yeah, like anywhere.
It's like over 100 kg, that, right?
Anywhere between. So, like, think the heavyweight limit in the UFC is 265 pounds. So, even though Brock Lesnar walks around a bit heavier than that, so imagine that's basically anywhere between the size of me and Brock Lesnar as a beaver. That's hilarious.
How big their dams would be and how big their little houses would be. That's crazy.
Big old. Are you a fan of a big old beaver, Drew?
Only from the Pleistocene era.
Yeah, are you a fan of those big old beavers? Yeah, largest beavers ever.
Like that. Most things.
Yeah, man, beavers. Yeah, beavers used to be bigger.
Back when those beavers used to be so much bigger.
Yeah, man. I mean, there's not
the good old days.
Not much you can say about that, is it? I'm trying to like say something, but I was thinking, regardless of what I say, it's going to come off real crass.
Big old furry beaver.
Back in those days, they used to trim the beavers. But that doesn't even make sense, does it? Doesn't even make sense.
It's clean-shaven beaver.
Yeah, man. Yeah. But yeah, this massive beaver, along with many other large animals like mammoths and mastodons, obviously became extinct during the late Pleistocene, unfortunately.
What a cool period of history, man.
Yeah, I'm sure that like humans used to eat them as well. Because apparently their extinction coincides with the arrival of humans in North America around 12,800 years ago.
You know how beavers have like really big teeth?
Yeah, I was going to say beaver
Imagine how much bigger their teeth must be if they were like our size.
You wouldn't want to get bit by a Brock Lesnar-sized beaver, would you?
No, I feel like that'd be like half the size of our head, one of their teeth.
Brock beaver.
You'd use them as tools. You just have like beaver teeth, like carving out wood with beaver teeth and stuff.
Did you know an interesting fact? Did you know that beavers' teeth never stop growing? But because obviously they're constantly using them to like chop down trees, like gnaw through wood and stuff, they're like always chipping away, and that's why they've evolved their teeth that never stop growing, because essentially they look like they're always staying the same size, but that's because every day they're like wearing them down ever so slightly, but growing ever so slightly.
They're sort of like shaving them down like a pencil.
Exactly.
Crazy.
They're like shaving it down like a pencil, but it's just always, it's almost like it's growing and they're wearing away at the same rate, so they just look like they're the same size.
What's the excuse for our ears and our nose then?
Well, they never stop growing.
Yeah, it's weird. Aren't they the only things that we have that never stop growing? Like a lot of our body starts like getting smaller as we get older, but the nose. Yeah, I heard that anyway. I don't know if it's true.
Yeah, I haven't looked into it recently, but I remember hearing when I was younger that obviously, I think it's a well-known fact that women usually start developing a bit earlier than men in general, in about 80% of cases. So women will finish puberty before men, and as every guy and gal will know, when you usually start secondary school, it's quite common for a lot of the girls in the year to be taller than a lot of the men. Obviously, by the time sort of like year 9 swings around, only the very, very tallest girls in the year will be taller than a lot of the men still, and most of the men are taller. Most young men, boys, lads, what you want to call them, year 9ers, 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds are then by that point usually overtaking the women in terms of height. Women will usually be fully developed by about the age of 16. Men are usually physically developed in terms of their height by the age of about 18. But apparently men's shoulder blades continue to protract. You get slightly basically broader. And apparently that doesn't stop until you're 50.
Wow.
50 years old.
Wow.
Apparently it's something like 1 millimetre a year. So like, it's a tiny amount, but obviously over the course of, say, 32 years, between being 18 and 50, that's what's like 3 and a bit centimetres.
Yeah.
But I think it makes sense, because I don't know about you, say like if you ever see like a picture of like your dad or any man, and say they're showing you a picture of them when they were, say, like in college, their shoulders look narrower than they do when they're like 50, 60, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's one of those really noticeable things as well. Like, I know my mum said to me a lot, and I'm still young, I'm 21, but like the difference in just me from when I was like 18, 16, just around that time, to now, like particularly with my like broadness of shoulders, is like the one thing that you've really noticed first.
I think it obviously helps that you've obviously been doing a lot of weightlifting last year.
True, yeah.
Because I think that's obviously added it to it.
Yeah, but even before then, like... Just you still are naturally filling out.
They call it filling out, don't they? But yeah, apparently it's just on something you're 50, which I think is an amazing concept, because that means I've got 15 years left to like keep getting a bit broader, which is quite a nice thought. I quite like that thought, really. Yeah, I'm looking forward to being 50 in that regard.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
I'll be bold.
Good times await.
I'll be bold, but I'll be damn broad.
Yeah, he's a bold broad. Take the good with the bad.
Yeah, pros and cons of life, pros and cons. Yeah, no, it's quite cool, isn't it? Quite a cool fact. But yeah, no, get on with your point, Drew. Yeah, 'cause they do say, don't they, that your ears and your nose like never fully stop growing. I don't know if it's just in men. Is it? Is it just in men, or is it women too? Because I don't feel like you often see like that many like women with like big noses and ears. Do you? Do you know what I mean?
I'll have a little search.
But like, there's that look, isn't it, of that like grizzled old man that's usually associated with like a miner or a sailor, and he's just got like a big knobbly nose and like big ears. And like rosy cheeks, and you see all his blood vessels in his cheeks where he probably hits the pub after work, and he's like, "Oh yeah, you frickin' yeah," and he's got a big old nose and big red nose and big red ears.
It seems to be more about like rather than, but they don't grow the same way as bones. So it's more like changes in the elasticity of the cartilage and stuff like that like kind of make them appear different and bigger, because they get more like gravity pulls them down more and stuff. And
oh, really?
They're actually becoming like looser rather than growing.
Saggy.
Yeah.
So they're not getting bigger; they're just getting saggy.
Yeah.
Saggy skin changes.
Nice,
losing elasticity and collagen, contributing to sagging and wrinkles.
Mate, that's crazy, isn't it?
So
isn't it mad? I think it's isn't it literally like the age of like 23? Like you start aging at like 23, and that's when you start deteriorating. Really? It just seems it's such a young age, isn't it?
Yeah.
You barely like become fully grown.
I'm nearly in my peak, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily know.
They say athletic peak is like 27, 28, right?
Do you know what? I would definitely. It's interesting you say that because I definitely would think that's when I would say I was in my peak.
Yeah, I think you hear that with like a lot of sports, like athletes there. It's around 27, 28 is when they expect to hit their prime.
Yeah. I just like never really like got injured or anything. I never really get injured, and I was like, although I didn't really do much more than like do anything that differently to how I do now, I was just a little bit stronger. Yeah, like not like loads, but like I was like a little bit, you know.
I saw a clip this past week, and I wanted to ask your thought on it. Cause I know you're, obviously into your training and stuff like that. It was a clip from Joey Barton, who's quite a detestable guy.
Football player, yeah. He's known for being like a bit of a thug, isn't he?
He's a bit like he's not a very nice man.
Doesn't play anymore, does he? He's like from yesteryear. Does he play for Liverpool or something?
He played for City and like Newcastle and a couple others. He was a bit of a bully, like clearly not a very nice guy, and he's sort of holding on to that fame a little bit. But I did actually see a podcast clip of his, which I thought was quite interesting. It was talking about a world famous football player called Kevin De Bruyne. Who's probably one of the best ever midfielders in the Premier League, who's just about to leave this year.
So who does he play for?
As he plays for Man City.
Right.
He's a Belgium guy.
Right.
And he was always really, really good. And then he just suddenly like started getting injury after injury after injury. And Joey Barton was saying on the show that he started getting the injuries ever since he got new teeth. And he was saying that like maybe it's a thing where once they got new teeth, because your body is so connected, it sort of knocks everything else out of shape because it's such like a crazy change to your body.
I think there
Does
might
that sound
be
like something that could be true?
I think that there might be something to that. I know that I've looked into. Did you know that scientists are starting to see more and more that I don't know if this is exclusive or like so like always the case, but there seems to be some sort of connection between gum disease and bad oral hygiene with heart disease.
Wow.
And it's a very weird, interesting correlation. Like at first you think, what has like your heart got to do with your teeth and your gums? But as you said, everything's linked. It's like everything's linked, and it's like you don't really know what the knock-on effect is going to be of these things. And I think it's important to mention as well. There's like if you go, wherever your doctor's is. It's called like a practice for a reason. It's literally called a practice because they, all doctors, and now doctors will say, "Oh, I practice medicine, I practice neurology, neuroscience, whatever it is," and it's because that they are literally doing that. It's a practice. It's not like, I think sometimes we put too much of an expectation on doctors. Like we expect them to know exactly what's wrong with us and to be able to fix it perfectly. Whereas that's not really the case. You compare obviously a doctor of today to say like a doctor of the like Roman times. Of course, there's like massive advancements. The Romans were amazing for their day, but we know now that their like surgical tools were like ornate and decorated, which would have made dirt very easy to get into. And then they used to often people that had surgery in the Roman times, although the surgery itself was very good, because they didn't understand bacteria. Infection rates were like something like 10 times higher than they are today. You see nowadays all the scalpels and everything, they're like made to be like perfectly easy to clean. There's no indentations or grooves in them or anything. It's just like a flat piece of sharp metal essentially. So I think but we don't know in 1,000 years what we're doing now. If the human race is still alive in 1,000 years, there's loads of things we're doing now that they'll look back on and think was really silly. By the standards of the future, because it's just constantly it's trial and error, isn't it? It's practice, it's learning. There's but that's definitely one thing that's just stupid. I mean, I think most people know that today, but it's such a weird thing, isn't it? It's like even like young, good-looking girls and stuff are like having it done, and they're like making themselves. So what I don't get is like they obviously think they're making themselves look better, but to me,
who?
Yeah, it doesn't. I don't think it looks better.
Nah.
I think it looks way
Not
worse.
once have I thought it looks better.
No, I haven't either. You know, and there's like some girls are like I know of that, like, you know, good looking girls, man. And like I've seen like, you know, recent pictures of them, and I'm like a bit like, oh god, man, what are they doing to themselves? They're full of like fillers and Botox and stuff, and it's just a bit weird, isn't it? Something like Simon Cowell, you know, not a good look, is it? But yeah, who knows what we'll find out in the future? You know, as I said, it seems almost like mad, doesn't it? You're like, well, yeah, as I said, how is there a correlation between like your mouth and your teeth and your heart and like the rest of your body? But I reckon there might be something to it.
I've even heard one with root canal and or what was that? Was it? Do you hear a noise?
The dentist next door did a hilarious little walk around. But
Yeah. Speaking of dentists, like
that's funny because we were talking about teeth. That's crazy.
Yeah. And I've heard a connection between root canal and like diseases as well, and basically saying that when you get root canal, it's one of the only times where you'll actually kill a living thing, like your tooth is actually living when it's got its root
nerves.
and everything, and then you're killing it, and then you're leaving that dead thing in your mouth
to fester.
To like fester, and they're basically saying that like your immune system is always keeping it at bay, is always keeping like infection at bay when you've got like something like that in your, like you've got a piece of dead living tissue in your mouth, and that years and years and years later there could be these connections of like if it stops stopping it from infecting any of your body and that, then it could give you like sepsis and stuff like that. I was like, well, that's
awful, isn't it?
Pretty crazy. But it kind of made sense to me when I read about it. I was like, that sounds like that could be a thing, like, you know, it's a bit weird having like a piece of dead flesh in your, it's not flesh, just bone, but you know,
like dead nerves just in your face,
and in
like in your head,
organic tissue that surrounds it and everything.
In a way, it reminds me a little bit of what we were talking about like last week when, you know, we were talking about like you know, about octopus, and then we were also saying about how, you know, we now know that there are like neurons in your gut and stuff like that, and it's the same concept in terms of like that, just like everything is much more connected. Not everything is like segregated the way that we used to think of it, you know, like while everything has its own unique function, but that doesn't mean it's like segregated necessarily from the rest of your body. You know?
100%. Reflexology. You poke you in the bumhole just by prodding the right part of your foot.
Interesting. At first, when he was like reflexology, poke you in the bumhole, I was like, "Is that happening in reflexology?" And I was really intrigued to see what you were going to say happens when they poke you in the bumhole.
I just always
if you
remember,
poke you in the bumhole,
because like Carmen
you'll be
used
happy
to do
for 7 days.
Reflexology, and she was like saying, "And
she'd poke you in the bumhole.
This is your anus." It's just like massaging.
What the hell, man? She'd be like massaging your feet, going on about your bumhole.
Yeah, and just how it's all connected, like the different parts of your body are connected to pressure points of your foot, you know, and the bumhole is the only one I remember.
So obvious that she's not British, is it? Because like no British person could say that with a straight face. Do you know what I mean? This is your anus.
Let us give it a little rub.
Oh, cheeky rub. Oh, man. So what was the point of her rubbing the part of your foot
basically,
that massaged your butt?
It was like you can
release nervous tension.
You can affect.
Imagine if she just did it and then you were like
parts of your body by putting pressure on other parts of your body, like, you know. And like and I think that's a lot in massage.
So if you had any tension in your butt,
or in your back, sometimes even like certain points will be related to others. So you could be hurting in your shoulder, but you could touch a point in your back and it would like it would release tension in your shoulder and stuff. It's like really weird, but I think potentially, like you're saying, like everything is connected. Like maybe there are points of your body that relate to other points, and you can because they say in like Chinese medicine and everything, like the energy flow of the body and that as well, and like your meridian lines of all through your body and stuff, and acupuncture would be specific points of different meridian lines that you would press, and then that would release the flow of energy again to be able to bring you back into harmony. And it's interesting, you know what I mean? It's like maybe there's something in that stuff, you know.
don't know anything about meridian lines, but I have always thought that acupuncture makes sense scientifically, at least in my head, because obviously what you're doing when you're putting the needles in, you're creating like a micro injury. So then your body is going to then divert energy to then heal that area. And it's almost like a way of sending resources to heal an area, isn't it? So like say, I don't know, whatever, say you got like a bad shoulder or a bad knee, you know, if you put those little needles in, the damage itself isn't really, you know, enough to cause you that much damage, in a sufficient damage, but it's enough for your body to then send pathways. There's an injury there, send resource to heal that, and then that will help heal whatever lingering injury you've got there as well. That makes sense to me. That makes sense to me, but I have no idea.
Giving it a wake-up call.
Yeah, but I have no idea what a meridian line is.
Yeah, so they're saying like about like the flow of energy around your body. So like the chi energy, and it's like the meridian lines are where.
So that's what they call it, meridian line. Is that like a chi? Is that like a Tai Chi thing, like a chi energy?
Yeah, I think it's Chinese medicine, and Tai Chi is Chinese. Is Tai Chi Chinese? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think so. I know what Tai Chi is. I'm not 100% sure it's Chinese, but I'm sure
Japanese,
it is.
maybe. Yeah.
I reckon it sounds more Chinese than Japanese. You know?
Yeah.
Korea Taekwondo is Korean, and you can tell, you know, like the way it sounds, you can often figure it out. Like Taekwondo, that's like very Korean. Like karate, that's like Japanese. You know, like Kung Fu is like Chinese. You know, like, you know, Kung Fu, you know? But you can like figure it out.
Yeah.
Think about, on a very simple way, do you know what, even figure it out, like think about like what you eat off a Chinese takeaway.
Yeah.
Compare that to the word Kung Fu. You could probably figure it out, you know? You could probably figure it out. Yeah.
Hoisin sauce.
Yeah.
You know, just to completely change the topic.
Hoisin sauce. Hoisin sauce. Kung Fu. Duck and pancake.
Chicken ball.
Pork ball. Yeah. Chip. If you order it from a Chinese, mate.
Yeah, man.
Counts.
Yeah.
Counts, mate. What's it? Chop suey. Kung Fu. Chop suey.
Chop suey.
You know?
What
beef
is
chop suey.
Oh,
It's like a...
It's good.
Do you know what? Weird thing is, I used to have beef chop suey, and I can't even really remember what it was that much. I think, if off the top of my head, I think it's like an... Obviously, you can have different types. You could have like chicken chop suey, beef chop suey, whatever. I think it's like a noodly, vegetable-y thing.
Right. Okay.
I mean, to be honest,
Sounds
that's pretty much what every Chinese thing is really like. Unless it's a chicken or pork ball.
Yeah, or prawn cracker.
I do like a prawn cracker, I'm not gonna lie. I like the peppery, spicy ones you get. You know? And then you dip it in that nice little dip that you get. I don't even know what you call it, but you know what a dip I'm on about?
Yeah.
I don't.
Hoisin sauce.
You know, it's not hoisin sauce. Hoisin sauce. It's like a dark brown sauce.
Sweet sour.
It's like a sweet and sour little sauce.
Sweet and sour.
Yeah. It's like a nice little sauce, and it's like a little bit spicy, but it's a bit sweet as well.
Yeah, I think
and then if you're in a restaurant, if you're either in a Thai or a Chinese restaurant, and they offer prawn crackers,
you'll usually get
it.
some.
Yeah. And I reckon, mate, and yeah,
Damn.
I look forward to it. And that's what I say when it comes. That's what I say when I come back to the table. I say, I'm gonna get some.
I'm about to get some.
Some of that special sauce.
You see that there? You know I'm gonna get some. That's what I say.
Oh, you know what I'm about to do.
Yeah.
I can't believe how many Chinese not restaurant
I can't believe how many Chinese takeaways there are.
Well, that have taken over fish and chip shops.
Oh yeah.
So
obviously the famous example being West Street Fish and Chip Shop in Bridgewater.
And in Ludlow, there's this little Chinese.
Used to remind you of a girl, Drew,
fish and chip shop. And
that specific establishment used to remind Drew of a girl when you called Charlotte. Yeah. Leave it there.
Still does.
But Drew rang her up and said, every time I pass West Street Fish and Chip Shop, it makes me think of you. She did not sound impressed.
Oh, I think she did.
Oh my god!
You reckon she was? I think that's. I think you want to believe that, Drew.
But yeah, my point anyway. It was like crazy.
Moving on.
So they're like Chinese like takeaways, but they just sell English fish and chips as well. So they just like it's like Chinese, but we still do fish and chips. You know?
It's quite an interesting mix, really, isn't it? Like the more you think of it,
to the English thing, still, you know.
Yeah. because it's a very odd combination on paper, isn't it? You know, and look, obviously there are lots of Chinese restaurants that don't serve fish and chips.
Yeah,
but there are, as you said,
a lot of them are just
do.
like, oh, we'll do Chinese still, but we're going to do fish and chips as well, just to like cater to that.
Yeah, like battered cod and like battered sausages and like just like fish and chip shop chips. So like it's a very
and fish
like,
and chip shop chips are different as well. They're like different from normal chips that you get in a restaurant and or that you deep fry yourself or anything like that.
Not as crunchy.
There's a way that they do them.
It's a bit soggy.
They're like
a bit soggy, but in a nice way.
Still done in fat, so they're still tasty.
Yeah, and they're quite thick usually, don't they? Like thick cut, a bit soggy, but not in a bad way. Preferably not greasy. But yeah, almost like almost like the texture more of like the inside of a jacket potato in some ways. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean?
Inside,
like almost like fluffy.
Yeah.
A bit fluffy on the inside. Yeah. Whereas like a lot of like whereas obviously if you go to like more of like an American, you know, it's like a burger place, it's probably going to be more like a fry, like crunchy. Like a crunchy type of chip.
I find that like it's mad, like the origin of like French fries. Like I don't know what it is, but it was obviously a French thing, but it's like now like more of an American thing. It seems to me. When I think of like French like potatoes, I'm like dauphinoise or something like that. You know, where it's all like
like French fries are definitely more American than actual French. Yeah, yet they're known as French fries.
Is it like frites? Is that what they used to call it?
Yeah, probably. Wasn't Fritz to me though? Sounds more German.
I know what you mean.
I think Fritz is probably more German. Mate, look it up. Look it up, Bullwinkle. We've got some homework. We're about to find out. Oh yeah.
Patatas flatas.
Yeah, yes, baby.
Patatas bravas.
Yes. What part do you stimulate? What part do you need to push to stimulate the patatas bravas?
That's because there's a sauce called bravas that they add to the patatas.
Is it?
Yeah, it's like a spicy sauce. That's why it's called patatas bravas. It's like a spicy sauce that they add called bravas to the potatoes.
And what part of the foot do you have to push to get that? What part of the butt do you have to squeeze?
Inside
squeeze the part of the butt and then like the patatas bravas was like ready.
While commonly called French fries, their origins are debated, but the dish is widely believed to have originated in Belgium.
Neither France nor Germany.
American
the red-headed stepchild
yes.
of Europe.
American soldiers stationed in Belgium during World War I reportedly introduced the dish back to the US and dubbed them French fries because the dominant language in southern Belgium is French.
Do you know what? I'd be well annoyed if I was Belgian.
Yeah, that's the best thing.
It's like the amount of free advertising the Americans giving out to the world, and all this time they should be called Belgian fries. That's a
what's the other language of Belgium then? Belsh.
No, it's usually French, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I think you might be right, Drew. There might be a small part of Belgium that speaks something else.
In my head, it doesn't seem right that
something.
it's just all French.
Huh?
A little bit Dutch or something.
It might be.
Bit Dutch.
Geographically speaking, that would make sense.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Matt, another bit of homework for you there, Bullwinkle. Sorry, man. Giving you all the things, but we need to know what languages are spoken in Belgium. Type that in. But obviously, Jean-Claude Van Damme, Belgian, one of the most famous Belgian people, speaks French.
Grimbergen.
He's from Grimbergen.
Belgian,
he's from Brussels, isn't he? He's known as the Muscles from Brussels. That was his nickname.
Oh, we were right. French, Dutch, and German.
Some German spoke in Belgium, is it?
Yeah.
The variant of French is used by 33% population. Right. Flemish is used by 60% of the population.
Do you know what? Flemish was the one I was thinking of. Flemish was the one
I knew there was something else.
Yeah, Flemish is what I was thinking of.
Yeah. There we go.
Flemish.
Very interesting. I'm pretty sure that's where all the world's best caviar is from, Belgium. I think.
And
I wouldn't bet my house on it, but... there's a lot of good Belgian beer, isn't there? There's a lot of good beer in Europe, isn't there?
Oh.
We've talked about it before, but like the Czech beers, man, Staropramen, what a good beer. Love that beer.
Grimbergen Double Blonde has been my favourite tap beer that I've ever had, and that was in when I was in Wies in
not to be confused with Greece in a German accent.
Wies. Wies where was Wies? Like Croatia. And and we went on a little island called Wies, and there was this little Russian guy who had a pub there, or just a small, tiny little bar just on the island. And every time, like Meg would be getting ready in an evening, and I would like just walk to that little place, and I'd have like a couple of pints of this Grimbergen Double Blonde, but I think it was like £8 or something. So it was really strong, but it was so goddamn tasty. And I've looked for it everywhere since I've been back, and they don't sell it in shops and that. Like, I think you can buy it online for loads, but he had it on tap there, and it was like the nicest beer, like, because it was strong, but it was still like sweet and stuff, and had a real nice flavour profile.
I hate when you have a really nice beer somewhere and you can't find it to buy, like for home consumption. I remember one of the nicest beers I ever had was called Krombacher Hell.
Oh yeah,
and I found some Krombackers.
Wasn't that?
Well, I think I think it might have even been in the Bavarian
beers. That's what I was going to say.
But obviously, I guess because they're like, I don't know how it works, obviously, but maybe because you're an establishment, obviously it opens you up to like certain trade things that you can't find as a civilian. But I managed to find several types of Krombacher, but not Krombacher Hell. And obviously that's no good, because
you want the hell?
I know, if somebody's like, what the hell? If someone's going to be like, oh, isn't it the same? It's like, no. It's like saying like... It's like saying a Big Mac's the same as a McChicken sandwich because they're both from McDonald's.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's different. They're different products. They're different products. But yeah, I never managed to buy Krombacher Hell to this day. I remember, like when you're in a pub and you try a beer and you're like, just like every sip, you're like, I can't believe it.
That's what I was like with that one. I was like, oh my God, I need to get this. I need to get more of this like now. And it would like make me tipsy after like a pint as well, because it was like 8% or whatever.
And just down in it. Yeah. Because it was so yummy.
Did you guys go and have the beer bath in Czech?
No.
I don't even know what that is, to be honest.
In Prague, you can go and have a beer bath, where it's like a place that you'll go into, and because they've just got so much beer, like beer is cheaper than water over there. You can literally
have a bath.
You'll get in a bath, and they'll have like a big tap, or like a few taps, and they'll fill it up with like beer, and you'll just get like a stein, and you can like pour it in the tap, or like drink from the bath. It's a bit mental.
Mate, that's mental. That's well cool. That's definitely a cool novel experience.
I've heard that in like, is it like Sweden or something, or there's some like Scandinavian country where you can do the same thing, but it's like real ales, and you have like a beer bath of real ale, but it's more for the qualities like of the like, not healing qualities, but you know what I mean, like it's good for your skin and stuff apparently.
Oh, I thought you were going to say like for the quality that it, like your
balls make it taste
the beer, and I was going to be like, that is gross. Or they bottle it up afterwards and sell it.
No, it's supposed to be like good for your skin.
Unsuspectingly drink that, and it's like, oh yeah, that's a man's ball sweat in it. Ball bag sweat.
I wonder if it'd be alright to drink, because they say like people that do shoeies, the alcohol's meant to kill the bacteria before you drink it anyway, so that you're like fine. So I wonder if you drank from a bath that you're in, the alcohol would like kill the bacteria.
Oh, that'd be alright.
I assume they warm the bath.
Yeah,
I assume they warm the bath. Yeah, I don't think you're meant to drink the bath water in the one in Prague. I assume it's like warm beer.
Oh,
and
maybe,
then you've just
I wouldn't like that. I wouldn't like that.
And then you've just got like beer from.
I could be wrong.
I
would want. Yeah, I'd want cold beer, and I'd want to drink my own bathwater until that's what I would want to do.
Imagine if they put you in there and they gave you like a cup for the tap, and they came in, there was no more water, there was no more beer in the tap.
Obviously, I wouldn't want to drink if I was like real sweaty for some reason and dirty. Then, but if like what would be good is if they had like showers on site. You had a quick shower, and then you get in there, and then you can fill it out with beer, and obviously don't share the bath with anyone else, because I don't want to be drinking my mate's bull juice, you know?
Yeah.
Bull juice. Yeah, do you know what I mean? Bull juice. You know? But yeah, that'd be good. That'd be good. Yeah.
Did you know woodpeckers put their tongue inside their brain when they peck wood?
No, I didn't know that. That's a mental fact, boy.
Yeah, I read that before we started the show today. I thought, you know what, I'm going to get that.
Should we do the Wheel of Fortune?
Ooh,
should we do the Wheel of Fortune? We introduced this last week. We've got a Wheel of Fortune.
Yes.
Do you want me to come and spin the wheel this week, Bullwinkle?
Yeah, man, go ahead.
So I'm gonna come and spin the wheel. Bullwinkle's got facts from 1 to 4. What else have you got on there this week?
We've got the multi-fact.
We've got a multi-fact. I don't even know what that is, but we might find out, people. Right, so I'm gonna go spin the wheel. Right, so drum roll, people, please.
I reckon we spin it once each week, man. Okay. Keep the mystery. Here we go. The wheel's spinning. Oh, it's fact number 4. Would you believe?
What's fact number 4, Bullwinkle?
This is actually a fact that we were discussing the other day before even the show.
What's that?
It was the highest a bird can go.
Oh, yeah.
One Ripple's vulture holds the record for the highest flying bird in the world, reaching heights of 11,300 meters.
That's
or
staggering.
37,000 feet.
That is staggering.
However, There is still some debate about whether this was a one-time accident or whether or if this vulture chooses to fly at these heights on occasion.
Was it documented whether the vulture managed to get back down to the ground safe or not?
I don't know. I don't know.
That'd be worth knowing.
I'm intrigued to know why they were following the bird in the first place.
Do you reckon it was like a commercial flight and they just looked out the window and there was a freaking vulture?
Maybe.
Flying. They were like, what the hell? And then they documented it.
Yeah, maybe.
Could have been something like that.
Have you seen
that? It seems... It's like that's like the astronaut of the bird world.
Yeah, he went to space.
Have you seen that thing where someone was like doing a they're in one of those like things that you sit in and you fly and at the same time like a paraglider, and someone was doing that, and then there was just like some kind of like bird of prey just came and sat.
I think I might have actually.
I remember seeing that video, and I thought,
did see that.
That was cool, so cool. Yeah. Remind me of that when you're saying just looking out the window and there's like a vulture on the wing of the plane.
I saw a really cool red kite yesterday. You know that bird of prey? It's called a red kite.
Love red.
They're quite rare as well. I was driving. I believe I was on the A36, or I might have been on a B road just off the A36 yesterday, and unfortunately, it's a beautiful area. That whole way, if you want to drive through, it's what's it called? It's called the I can't remember the name. I think it's near. To be honest with you, it's near where I used to live in Crockerton. Do you remember the name of you know how there's the Quantocks in Somerset? What's the place where in Crockerton that it's like the equivalent of that nature place? It's on like the tip of my tongue. I can't think. It's something. Oh man, is it like Crannock Chase? Is that right?
Sorry,
I'm just going to quickly look up Crannock Chase. It's like Crannock Chase Nature Reserve.
I know there's
or
Heaven's
like
Gate, just by
Crannock
there.
Chase.
Which we went to a few times. That was
Crannock
nice.
Chase. Oh, Cannock Chase. Is that it? Cannock Chase. Cannock Chase is a local government district in Staffordshire. It's named after covers a large part of Cannock Chase, a designated national landscape. The council is part of the town of Cannock. I think it's known as one of the best places in the south of England, if not the best place, to see. Oh, what's it called when it's like non-polluted skies at night? It's like basically it's non-polluted skies at night. Like to stargaze. It's one of the best stargazing spots.
See the galaxy.
Because literally, when you're driving on that road as well, like as far as the eye can see, there is no street lamp or like electricity, and like either side of the road, it's just field after field after field of like rolling hills, and there's no like wires or street lamps or anything. And as a result,
I wish it was like that,
because it's like I can't remember. I don't know how many miles it is without a light source, without an artificial light source. But it's like one of the best places to go stargazing. Yeah. But sorry, back to my red kite thing. So I was driving, very obviously rural road.
Cranbourne Chase.
And there was unfortunately some roadkill at the side of the road, like a young dead deer. And I was driving. There wasn't any other cars on the road, and then there was like a red kite, like had like obviously flown down to like feed on the carcass. And then obviously once my car came, it like left it quite late as well. So then this like red kite like took off. It had a really big wingspan, and then just really clearly right in front of me, I saw this like red kite like take off and like flap its wings to fly it. But I could see it like really, really well, and I got really close to it. That was pretty epic.
That was really cool.
I'm pretty sure they're like a rare bird of prey in this country as well. But I said they're quite big, man. Like a lot bigger than something like a falcon. So that was pretty cool.
Have you guys ever been out in like really out in the sticks where it's been like no light pollution at all?
Yeah.
I almost feel like it'd be one of those things where if I was in charge of the UK for a day, I think I'd do that. I'd be like, right, we're all going to switch our lights off for an hour,
right,
and see all the stars.
Man, guys, I'm wrong. It's not Cannock Chase. Cannock Chase is near
Cranbourne
Birmingham.
Chase?
Cannock Chase, I'm pretty sure, is where that crazy pigman creature lives. Do you remember I told you guys about that? Was it around Halloween?
Yeah.
I'm wrong about Cannock Chase. It's not Cannock Chase. It's another place. It's near where you used to live, Drew. Stargazing place. So it must be in Wiltshire, I think. That's why I was a bit thrown off. It's Staffordshire. I was like, Staffordshire? Wiltshire.
Not Wiltshire Downs.
No. Wiltshire Stargazing. I'm just going to put that and really hope it comes up.
Not Cranbourne Chase.
Cranbourne Chase. That's why. See, it's super similar to Cannock. Cannock Chase. Yeah, that's it. Cranbourne Chase. Right. It's amazing. Go with Cranbourne Chase. I reckon there's like some amazing walks and that near there as well. Cranbourne Chase National Landscape. That's where it is. Man, beautiful drive. Do it. Do the drive, honestly. 380 square miles of countryside.
And you may see the red kite.
You may see the majestic red kite. Yeah, Cranbourne Chase is a national landscape designated area of outstanding natural beauty that covers 380 square miles of countryside overlapping the boundaries of Wiltshire, Dorset, Hampshire and Somerset. It's a diverse natural landscape with a rich archaeological and historical significance. Cranbourne Chase offers areas of rare chalk grasslands, scientifically important ancient woodlands and chalk escarpments. The downland hillsides and chalk river valleys have a distinct and recognisable character. The primary purpose of the national landscape designation is to conserve and enhance the natural beauty of the area now and for future generations. But yeah, I know it's one of the best places for it's an official dark sky reserve.
Very cool.
So I guess you're literally legally not allowed to put any artificial light source on it, which is cool. That's actually quite a cool thing, isn't it?
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, really cool.
I remember when I lived there was this I can't remember what the name of the hill was, but it was in Warminster.
Right, yeah.
And it was like it was kind of like that with the light pollution and stuff. We went up there like night a couple of times, and apparently Clay Hill, like Cley or Clay Hill,
right?
And loads of UFO sightings up there apparently as well, like people would say.
Wow.
But then it's like a army base in Warminster as well. Like it's really known for its army base.
There's a lot of there's a big ministry of defence, essentially like you know how like Hinkley Point is almost like a small town. There's a place that's a little bit like that, but it's owned by the Ministry of Defence. I think it's called Larkhill. It's Larkhill. It's quite near Warminster. And it's almost like a small town, which is used by the MOD for like obviously loads of top secret stuff. But also near there and around Cranbourne Chase, even though it's like this mental dark sky reserve and an area of outstanding natural beauty, and there's loads of deer and red kites and all the rest of it. At times there are just tanks that will just be like driving across fields and like down the roads and stuff, because they test out like really state of the art tanks and stuff like that. But yeah, sorry Drew, go on, I just made me think of it.
Yeah, and where Warminster is a army town as well, there's just massive army barracks there and everything. When you go for these walks over Cley Hill, and you could walk for miles, it was like so much like grassland, but they would just be like running past you in their full get up and that, and just kind of out with the dog walkers and stuff, but they'd always be running there, like, you know. And it was pretty cool. Yeah.
Funny enough, it's a bit similar. So as what I was saying about the tanks, because obviously you went to Monkey World, didn't you? A couple weeks ago?
I did indeed.
And they do lots of they do the tank training there.
At
so
Monkey
if you go
World?
into the sorry. That's what it made out like from what I was saying. Yeah, sorry. So basically, around Monkey World, though, so the same area of Dorset, they use that part of Dorset to teach people that go into the army to learn to be tank drivers. So like so they have like lights and flags and stuff that they'll suddenly put up, and you'll have to stop where you are, because it means that there's like a tank nearby, or like some sort of tank training exercises go on. And obviously they really have to put these tank drivers through their paces. So sometimes they'll be going like full throttle, and they'll be like turning the freaking turret of the gun around it. So you could just be like driving, then you'd have to like stop, and you see this tank like going mental, and you're like, whoa,
that's cool.
I'm pretty sure we're up in Cranbourne Chase as well, because of everything that goes on with the Ministry of Defence and Larkhill and all the rest of it. I expect that's place in Warminster somehow. I expect they do stuff with them as well sometimes. They do like live firearms training around Cranbourne Chase. So and I think there's they put up like red flags and stuff at certain points, and that means that like you have to like stop or like exit the area, because there are literally live rounds flying through the air. So like obviously if you're there, like you could accidentally get shot. So
Jesus.
Yeah, it's pretty epic, really, isn't it?
Yeah, man.
Pretty mental.
It's real cool when you're just like going out for a dog walk, and then there's like these army vehicles just like cruising past you and stuff, like, because that was it. It wasn't. I can't remember if it was a tank. I don't think I saw a tank, but it was like other army vehicles. Truck. It was just loads, like kind of armored truck looking things, like, you know.
Pretty cool.
It would always be going in like a convoy, because there was this like where you go to Cley Hill, there was like this big road that kind of ran through the field, and it's what the army used to go into their bit or whatever, you know. So you'd just be walking along it like quite casually, and they'd cruise past you.
That's pretty cool, man. Talking of, you said about like alien sightings. I mean, to be fair, I haven't checked this source at all, Bullwinkle. I don't know if you have.
No, neither.
But Bullwinkle sent me something the other day. It was mental. I say, like, I have to like look it up in more detail because I don't know how. I haven't like verified the source. But and it's like this declassified CIA document talking about this event that happened. I can't remember what decade it was. Bullwinkle, I'm sure, will put up the exact document. It's a declassified CIA file talking about how Soviet soldiers, so like Russian soldiers, Soviet soldiers. What's the word I'm looking for? Confronted a downed alien spaceship back in like decades ago, and apparently the Soviet soldiers all got turned to stone.
What?
That's pretty mental, isn't it?
That is mental.
Look it up.
I'm looking at it.
Look up like
the post has been taken down.
Dun dun dun! It's a conspiracy. Yeah, type up like declassified declassified CIA. Declassified CIA file, Soviet soldiers, aliens, something like that.
23 Soviet troops turned to stone by aliens? CIA memo unearths Cold War mystery.
So have you found something about it, have you?
I found a post from the Economic Times.
The Economic Times?
I'll have a little read through. A Cold War-era CIA document has resurfaced online, recounting a bizarre incident in which Soviet troops allegedly engaged with a UFO in the late 1980s, leading to 23 soldiers reportedly being turned to stone by a blast of bright light. Sourced from a KGB file, the story has reignited debates about extraterrestrial life and secret military knowledge, drawing both fascination and skepticism from officials, ex-intelligence agents, and the global public. I want to see if I can try and actually find the page that was on there, because it looked kind of mental.
Yeah, yeah. I remember obviously when you sent it to me what it looked like, but very, very intriguing. I want to know more, like where it happened. Do you know what I mean? Where did this happen?
Trying to find.
One thing that I'm a bit just while you're looking at that, Bullwinkle. Do you know what? One thing that just sort of like faded away, and we never really got an answer for it. Do you remember there was like for about like a couple of weeks there was all of those like massive drone sightings all across America and like certain states of America, and I think Trump said at the time that he would give an answer, like a public address of what they were, like officially what they were, like when he had like all the information given to him, and he still hasn't done it. So I don't know if that's because he's just been like, really busy with other stuff, or if he's going back on it for some reason, or maybe he just hasn't got enough information really to like accurately give the public like information on what it is. But yeah, a bit mental. But I did see I can't remember if we already talked about this. I did watch Joe Rogan's podcast with Elon Musk, I think the latest one he did with Elon, and Elon said that he does not think, because Joe Rogan was saying that he thinks it's most likely that it's like technology from maybe like some different country or like some top secret technology, and Elon Musk said that in Elon Musk's opinion that's definitely not the case, because he said that he is like basically 100% sure that like SpaceX and that have the most advanced technology of like anybody on the planet. I don't really know. I mean, I can't remember why Elon Musk said that with so much certainty. Do you know what I mean? But he seems to be certain that that's the case.
I guess if you're that powerful and that rich, you'd hope to know the information.
And I guess he's just like invested so much time and resource into finding like the best technology and developing it and knowing who has the best of what and stuff like that. Like he feels he's got like an insanely accurate idea of it. But yeah,
I can't find any I can't find the actual post or the actual writings bit that got leaked.
Right.
But it says it was during a Cold War military exercise in Siberia.
Right.
During or around 1989 or 1990. 2 people survived and they both testified to witnessing the incident.
Where? So there's 2 living witnesses, and then there's the CIA document as well. Is that right?
I believe so. Yeah, so it was a report compiled by the KGB, 250-page report that was later acquired by the CIA. Pretty crazy.
That is pretty crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Crazy that it's now like nowhere to be found as well.
Yeah.
As being on the internet. It's all been stricken from the record.
That is pretty crazy, isn't it? pretty darn nuts.
I saw that it was originally declassified in like 2000 as well, so like quite a long time ago when it first surfaced.
Oh, really?
Apparently, yeah. But then it's like
that's interesting, isn't it?
Oh, there's been loads of weird ones. I remember watching that UFO documentary guy on Joe Rogan, and he was saying about
wasn't it like George Knapp? Is it? George
yeah.
Knapp? No, it's not. Is it? Oh, I can't remember.
I can't remember, but he was basically saying like he's become a UFO documentary maker like after the first one that he did, which he got commissioned to do, and he didn't even want to do it, and then it was like and it was one about Brazil and about these like things that were just lying in the street in Brazil, and like some kids like saw them, and they said the stench was like beyond anything that you could even imagine, like how disgusting it was, and that they were like communicating like telepathically with the kids and stuff. And then this guy was driving around with it in the back of his car, and he like went to the hospital, and then they tried to save it in the hospital, and then they said the stink wouldn't go out of the hospital for weeks afterwards and stuff, and it was like sounded mad. And he said the amount of evidence was just like unreal that it actually happened.
Didn't it turn out that like the guy that had it in his car as well, didn't he end up like dying of radiation poisoning or something like that?
Yeah, man.
That's mental, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was all really weird. And I saw this one the other day as well. This guy he was talking about, he was on he was working at a base, and he said you would just do like what you were told, you know, and really not question things and stuff. And it was just like, and he said he was like in this van and driving along, and there was just this thing pelting across the like the dry land, you know, towards him like a huge speed, and he was thinking like, what the hell's going on? And he was following it, and just like this is really weird, and like drove over to him, and this thing just like turned round, and it was like a human but with like massive eyes, and he said this thing like was in a complete like US Navy Army uniform as well, so it was like in a uniform, almost like this weird alien like thing that was working on the military bases,
working with the US military or something.
And like in the scene, and he had a picture of it, and he like drawn of it and stuff like that. It had this cap on and everything. I thought it looked so
I want to see the picture of it.
Yeah, I'll have to try and find it. But and then it was something to do with his craft and it was this craft that you could just sit in, and then it would like take off with you in it, like, you know, it was like this little small kind of thing that you sat in it. And he said like telepathically this thing asked him like, have you got da 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 da, and it was like this thing that he needed to fix his craft or whatever, and he's like, no, I haven't got that. And he just sat in this thing and went and like kind of took off and like made it work, you know, and just like took off in it. And I was like, but he said he had like it was just a weird interaction that he just had like as on his day job, you know, and it was like didn't question it or anything. And like I'd have been mental though. Imagine just like seeing.
That's another thing to add to our list of things last week. You know, last week we were saying like it's really strange because we're living in a time, because we were talking about like dire wolves and stuff, and then we were talking about like AI, but then we were. Yeah, we were talking about what was it? We were talking about AI, and then we were talking also about like genetic, because of the fact that what Colossal Biosciences are doing with like bringing animals back to life. But then we were also saying how they'd be able to essentially like make almost like genetically superior humans, like, you know, like, and stuff like that. And then add aliens onto the mix. This is like the best sci-fi movie ever.
Yeah,
literally could have like a massive like 4-way battle between like Jurassic Park versus the Terminator versus I don't even know if there is a movie with like genetically superior humans, are there? But there should be. No, we're almost like everybody.
It's the Black Mirror universe.
Imagine if you just took the genome and you just unlocked like the utmost potential in like one person, or like just like, you know, like bred like an army, and they were all just like the top tier of intelligence, strength, speed, endurance, and everything. So they like everyone was like as strong as Eddie Hall, but it's like fast as Usain Bolt, but had the endurance of like Mo Farah or like some ultra marathon runner, but had like the intelligence of like, you know, the like more intelligent than any human that ever lived.
Super soldiers.
Yeah, and they were just like, do you know what I mean? It was almost like a race of that versus the Terminators versus Jurassic Park versus the aliens.
Man,
I would pay to see that.
They're making a great movie. I think they're making.
I might make it,
mate. I might write it.
Yeah.
We should make it.
That should be the next PB, like the next PB project.
Full on write it.
Who's who?
Drew's the alien. I'll play a dinosaur, mate.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'll play dinosaur.
That's so good.
Man, yeah, so that leaves you either a Terminator Bullwinkle or a genetically superior human.
I'll be the AI, man. I like AI.
Yeah?
I am AI.
You are Terminator Bullwinkle.
I am Terminator.
I'm Terminator Winkle.
Terminator Winkle.
Termawinkle.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I think that would be a great movie, though.
I'll tell you what, I'd quite like to,
song about it.
going back to Drew's like alien story that he was just saying, I'd quite like to do that myself. Like, just get like big prosthetics with massive eyes. Almost like when I came in as the Mexican Goblin that one week. And just like drive around. And even when I did do that, I remember like sitting in my car and at the red lights, almost just like staring
looking around.
I had my little like alien hat and green face. I remember thinking, I hope there is like someone's caught a glimpse of that. Hang on, what the hell did I just see? You know,
it's a great prank. Yeah, it's a bit like how I always say, don't I want to get like a really good like Bigfoot outfit and sort of run around the Quantox with it.
Maybe that's another movie, man. Bigfoot versus Mexican Goblin.
Yeah, mate, I'm sold. Yeah, Bigfoot versus Chupacabra. Yeah. I just would love the idea that like someone would get like so freaked out or take it so seriously that you suddenly just see articles in like the Mercury of it, or in the newspaper. Yeah. Bigfoot sighting.
You should do it in the Quantox, man.
Yeah. I'd love that.
It's got to happen.
I told Em about it though, and she's like, blatantly, some farmer will shoot you.
And do it like real early at like 3 a.m. or something. So you start crying. I think about that. So like, so it'll be like like the people who just get up like super early to walk their dog or something. They'll be like think they've spotted it in like the middle of the night kind of thing. Also,
obviously, I've listened to all of those old, the samurai calls.
Oh yeah,
those early 1960s cassette tapes. Well, I don't know if I've perfected them, but I've listened to them enough that I reckon I could. Because it was all like, that's what they call it. That's what they call it, the samurai.
Yeah.
Don't they, yeah? Do that loads. Imagine that 3 a.m. It's like real quiet, and you hear that in the underbrush, and then just do like some like mad calls as well, just like.
Oh man,
I reckon some people would freak the hell out.
Man, you'd get me if I was like in a tent in the woods and I heard that and they came out and Bigfoot's there. I'd be like, oh.
I'd put on like some proper flat like platform shoes as well to try and get myself as close to like 7 foot as possible. You know, like really big platforms. Man. And then imagine like all the padding of the suit as well would just make me look a bit taller as well.
I feel like you would almost want to be like quite in the distance at the same time.
Yeah,
you know, almost like they've spotted you.
But like menacingly, like staring down like a crevasse, like a cravine at them. Trying to look almost like a bit unnatural the way I'm stood as well.
Yeah.
Like, start following people. Yeah.
Imagine how freaked out people would get. Just like someone on their own, just like walking a little dog or something. Oh my god, man, that'd be so funny. And then they run to the end, and then Bullwinkle's there dressed as a little alien. Come in, please. Save me from the Bigfoot.
Yeah.
That's the start of the movie.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Bigfoot versus.
You see me in my little car and the alien in the little tinfoil hat. Hello, human.
Yeah.
That's the start, man.
Save me, there's a Bigfoot after me. Do you guys want to hear a nice little heartwarming story?
Hell yeah.
I do.
Do you have you guys ever heard of a man called Brendan Grimshaw?
Nope.
Brendan Grimshaw.
He was an Englishman who bought a small island. He bought Mayen Island in the Seychelles for the pricely sum of $10,000 in 1972, and has been living there ever since. Over time, several other people have lived there on and off, but he has been the island's only permanent resident. At the time, the island didn't really have much on it, but he's turned it into like a lush nature preserve, which is now thriving. He brought 120 giant tortoises to the island. Giant tortoises are indigenous to the Seychelles, but have been killed off on most of the other islands. There's now a thriving community there. Brendan gradually began reintroducing them to his little corner of the Indian Ocean. The island also includes 2,000 birds that Brendan has encouraged to flock there. They eat rice from 5 50-kilogram bags that Brendan puts out each week. One of the ways he makes money now is for just £10. You are allowed to visit the island for the day. A Saudi prince once gave him a blank cheque for the island and said, just write your price. But he had no interest in selling and said, "I don't want your money." He said he just wants to live
I
on.
remember from it. I've heard it before, but that was the bit that he got offered to sell it.
Yeah. He's just got this absolutely thriving community. I think he's planted loads of trees and that as well there. So it's just this like luscious little paradise, and he just lives there. His own little island paradise.
That's so cool.
Doesn't have to pay any taxes. Doesn't have to do anything. He just like lives there with his tortoise mates and all the birds and everything.
That's cool.
Just planting
Dr. Doolittle.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, isn't it? He's a friend of the pod.
Yeah, man.
Brennan Grimshaw, you are a friend of the pod.
Get us out to the island.
Yeah. Have you heard about that mental? It's called. Oh, man, have you heard about that product called Rapex?
No.
That's sold in Africa. So, apparently, unfortunately, rape cases are on the rise in South Africa. So, a medical technician named Sonnet Earlers has developed a product for women to fight back. She never forgot a rape victim telling her forlornly. This is a bit, almost like it's a bit strange. So apparently, a rape victim once told her, "If only I had teeth down there." Ella's then created a product that she calls Rapex. It resembles a tube with barbs inside. The woman can insert it into herself a bit like a tampon. But then any man that then tries to sexually assault the woman would then essentially impale his penis on the barbs. It would then pull out the Rapex as well and be very hard for him to get out. The only thing that he would be able to do would be then to go to the emergency room to have the Rapex removed. But obviously then
like a Chinese finger trap.
Yeah, but then in the process as well, he would then incriminate himself. So then they would treat him, but then the police would come also to arrest him. And the woman obviously would be okay because
good invention
because of the Rapex.
Yeah,
mental, eh?
Yeah, serves them right.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Amy got it coming to you, really, haven't you? Yeah, you got that coming to you. Yeah, so yeah, good on her.
Yeah,
good on her for protecting her fellow women out there. And on that cheery note, we'll leave it there. Yeah. Cheers, everyone.
Boom.
The show's over. See you next time. Until next time, have a great one. You've been listening to Pandora's Box. If you don't already, please go follow us on Instagram, Pandora's Box Podcast, and on YouTube, Spotify. As I said, just type in Pandora's Box Podcast. Give us a follow. Give us like a like, subscribe, comment, all of that good stuff. Doesn't take long, but it helps us out loads. Thanks. We love you. Catch you next time. Bye.
Just time for now.